We don't want Washington to be able to come down and twist any business's arm and tell them what they can and cannot do. But in this case, it certainly is not working in our favor. The second thing that I did was involve Jobs Ohio. I called the governor's office, I called the Jobs Ohio folks, and I said, do you realize that this is happening? And they had people in New York that were working with the bidders on the properties to find out what they could do to try and bolster the position to get bidders that would crank that facility back up. I honestly do not know right now today what the status of that is, but I've got somebody taking some notes in the back, and we will get you an answer on what the status of that is. I don't know whether the judge, I know he had the hearing, we listened in on the hearing. I don't know if he has actually released his bankruptcy decree and put everything in place or not. I don't know. Well, now the company, you know, and I haven't read that letter, so I don't know. But I can tell you that under the law, under both state and federal law, the company has to notify potential employees or employees of potential activities that could happen, even if those activities don't happen. They have to give them so much advance notice. And so I have not read your letter, but I would like to see a copy of it, if I can get a copy of it before we leave. Okay. I'm still believing that the steel industry is going to come back. Maybe not in the same way that it was. Maybe in a different way, maybe in a better way. Because we need to be able to manufacture steel here in America for our own national security needs and to promote the business expansion that's going to come when we finally get America back to work and see our economic wheels begin to turn again. When you see what's happening along the Ohio River with the Marcellus and the Utica Shale, when companies begin to realize that they can park their manufacturing operations on top of a nearly limitless supply of energy. Remember, energy is the biggest cost item to a manufacturing operation. One of the biggest cost items. That's in their expense column. That's a big number. Take Ormet down in aluminum manufacturer down in southeastern Ohio, south of Marietta. Biggest single user of AEP power in the state. It's a big number. And when those companies find out that they can park over a nearly limitless supply of energy, you're going to see manufacturing companies want to come here and set up their operations. Not only because of the source of energy, but because this is a great place to raise families. We've got the heartbeat of America right here along the Ohio River. We know what makes America great. And companies will want to come here when they figure that out. And it's coming. Who else has got a question? Yes, sir.
Let me do a follow-up to his question. Now, so from what we're getting from the news media, the Mingo plant is sold to a scrap dealer, which will demolish the plant and sell it for scrap. Now, if he took that electric arc furnace, which was supposed to be the most modern in the world when they installed it, can he package that up, ship it to China, and sell it? Legally, could he take it out of this country if he bought it for scrap?
I don't know. You know, my gut tells me if he buys it, he can do with it whatever he wants to do with it.
But if it's classified as scrap, can you resell it?
Sure he could.
It's private because it's private.
I mean, well, it wouldn't matter whether it's scrap or not. If he buys it, he can do with it whatever he wants.
He can do whatever he wants.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer.
You're right.
But I'm thinking that he.
But you know the value of that one furnace alone.
175 million.
Right.
Yeah.
And he bought it for $20 million. I mean, what can he get out of that if he ships it out of the country?
Yeah.
Well, that was the most modern in the country, world at the time.
I don't deny anything that you're saying. I mean, these are very, very good points. When RG Steel first bought these facilities from Severstal, I called RG Steel. I talked to the head of their company.
Right.
And I said, I'm optimistic that you bought these facilities. And I encourage you to look at firing up that Mingo Junction facility first. You've got the supply chain right across the river. You've got the coke plant. You've got a workforce that's ready to go to work. It's proven. Start there. They decided not to do that.
Why not?
They started their plant up in Maryland first. It didn't work out so well for them. They dumped a lot of money into it, got in over their heads, and now we are where we are. And now you've got the perfect storm, the collision of them going under,
Right.
and an economy that has got other companies sitting on their investment dollars, not willing to invest because they don't know what's coming next out of this administration through the EPA or through the Department of the Interior or the other, the health care law that's going to increase their cost of providing employee insurance. You've got all of those factors colliding at one time. I wish there was something that I could do.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stop these private companies from doing what they're doing. They're allowed under the law.
Right. Okay, thank you.
But I can certainly market and make sure that people know that here is where they want to do business. I don't know if it's going to happen today or tomorrow or the next day, but folks, it's going to happen. Let me tell you why I know and I believe that it's going to happen. Just an hour or two above us up here in Columbiana County, Chesapeake. You've heard a lot about Chesapeake, right? Building a $900 million facility. Bricks and mortar. Big facility. Nearly $1 billion facility in Columbiana County. Down south of here, Harrison County. Mark West, midstream provider. A $500 million facility. Over in Guernsey County, Halliburton. Several $100 million facility. I talked to a company last week in Columbus. They're looking at over the next 5 years investing in excess of $1 billion to put new pipeline in coming down through Mahoning and Columbiana County and heading south to carry the gas. We are sitting on top of the world's largest deposit of oil and natural gas. I know we're here to talk about health care. Anybody got any health care questions before we go too far off into chasing these rabbits? Yes, sir.
I guess I don't know where to take all my concerns, except here's a good place to start. I've worked in the field of healthcare, mental health care mostly, for years, and over a 10, 20-year period, I've seen the cost of premiums to the individual and to the employers and employees raise in cost, and I've seen benefits being reduced and limits being set. So everything's gotten more expensive but less service oriented. Part of the problem that I see is there's so much micromanagement going on in taking care of everybody's health care by the insurance companies that they're spending staggering amounts of money, staff hours, time, reviewing your case. In addition to that, they have what's called providership lists, and we all know what that means now, but the providers themselves, to be on that list, have to go through heaps of paperwork. The licensure board does that for them. To me, that's a redundant service and cost. Every doctor that I know of has hired at least 4 more staff just to do all of that kind of management and paperwork.
The President's Affordable Health Care Act has placed an unbelievable burden on the healthcare industry itself. Let's talk about that a little bit. The Supreme Court ruled a few weeks ago that it stands as law of the land. The Supreme Court said 2 things. Some people missed the first thing that they said. The Supreme Court, first of all, said that under the Commerce Clause, it is not constitutional for the federal government to require that the American people purchase health care insurance. The individual mandate is not constitutional. The problem is that the Supreme Court could not stop there, because there's another element to the law. It's the penalty. In that regard, the Supreme Court said if it walks like a duck, and it looks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, then it's probably a duck. In this case, it looks like a tax, it's collected like a tax, it's administered by the IRS like a tax. Guess what? It's a tax. In fact, they validated what we've been saying now for 2 years. It's one of the largest tax increases on the American people in American history. Here's what the Supreme Court didn't say. The Supreme Court did not say that it was good law. They didn't judge the merits of the law. And they didn't say that it was good medicine. And we both know that both of those are not true, because here's what's happening. Healthcare providers are being driven out of the industry in droves. 1 in 3 healthcare providers are saying we can't take any more Medicare patients because we can't cover our costs. With the $700+ billion that's been taken out of Medicare, there's not enough money there to pay the providers to cover the patients. What we need is healthcare reform that will put healthcare decisions back in the hands of patients and their doctors, not in the hands of a 15-member bureaucratic panel in Washington, D.C., who are accountable to no one. Here's the plan that I've supported. Let's see, and we'll see if you have other questions. Our plan gives Americans more flexibility to invest in health savings accounts. Health savings accounts, you take pre-tax dollars. Now, for those of us that are retired, some of this is not going to matter a whole lot, right? But those that are still working age, they can take pre-tax dollars and put it in a health savings account, because they can pay for their routine health care at a cost that is low.